Hey horror fans, welcome back to another video on the Terror Talk channel where I give commentary on creepy stories and conspiracy theories. The music you hear I composed myself. If you're struggling financially like a lot of people are, check the pinned comment after watching. I have something that will help you out a lot. Now, let's get into it and have some fun.
I was going on a camping trip with my best friend. I'm gonna call him Henry. We'd done a few trips before, but we still mostly considered ourselves new to it. We hadn't done anything too crazy up until this point. Usually we'd go to local campgrounds that had other people around, but we thought we were confident enough to do something more adventurous. Both of us wanted to camp at an actual campsite that was cool, with a view and further in the forest. Like real camping. We did some research and found a place about 3 hours from us. It was a 4 hour hike into the forest, and it only had a couple pictures from previous campers, so it didn't seem like it'd be busy. We drove down there, prepared for 3 days.
Are you into this whole camping, kind of extreme adventure kind of thing? For me personally, I'm not too much, but let me know if you've had any scary experiences with going out deep into the woods or camping or even just like hiking through kind of a secluded area. Let me know if you've had any scary experiences with that because I really enjoy reading and hearing other people's experiences relating to scary things.
There was a very small dirt area on the end of an otherwise unused road in the middle of the forest. Nobody else was parked there. The trail looked like an actual trail, or at least it looked like it was one at some point. It hadn't been kept up with, so some parts were overgrown and weathered. I mean, it was in the middle of nowhere, it seemed, so I wasn't expecting the most taken care of trail, but this looked like it was abandoned for years. Still, we kept walking. It thinned out as we got further into the forest, but around mid afternoon, we got to the campsite. It was no more than a grassy area on top of a small hill, but it had a decent overlook of the forest and was very secluded. Nobody else was there, and from the looks of it, nobody had been there in a long time. We set up our tents and got everything unpacked. Henry was taking a bit longer than me, so while I waited, I walked up to the overlook and just enjoyed the view. While I was there, I noticed something move in the trees below us. It was really hard to see through the dense branches and leaves, but I barely caught a glimpse of a group of people walking, maybe 4 or 5 of them. I was so surprised to see other people out here, especially not on the campsite. From where I was, though, I couldn't see anything aside from their basic figures moving through the forest, so I couldn't tell if they were campers or hikers or what. I tried to point them out to Henry, but by the time he came over, they were already gone, disappeared in the forest. After a few minutes, we were back to going about our day. We kind of just hung out for the next few hours, talking and whatever, until the sun started going down. We built up a small campfire and sat around it. The night was calm for the first couple hours. It was quiet, only the sound of us talking and the crackling campfire between us. But then we heard something else. It was faint, but we both heard it. It sounded like voices, multiple, talking back and forth. We couldn't tell what they were saying, or even if they were speaking our language. It was coming from way out in the trees, though, which made it really creepy. And
Yeah, that would be kind of creepy, wouldn't it, to hear that kind of thing out basically in the middle of nowhere and the people that they saw earlier walking through the woods, I don't think that would be anything to think too much about. But now that these voices are kind of closer and just like lurking in the trees a little bit, and I don't know if you came across a trail that looked like it had been abandoned for years, would you walk through it? or would you decide not to? Because that in itself is a little bit creepy, don't you think? And I know that this is out in the middle of nowhere, but for it to look abandoned for years, I don't know, that's just a little odd. But yeah, these voices now that are coming from the woods, that would certainly be unsettling.
Henry and I didn't know what to do, so we just listened for a bit. But the voices didn't seem to move. They stayed in the same spot out there until they suddenly went quiet. The next minute or so was really unnerving. We didn't hear the voices fade out or leave. They just stopped, like they were still right out there. Then there were footsteps. Just one set walking toward us. A few seconds later, a man came out of the dark and into the light of our campfire. He had a distinct red baseball cap and longish, wavy black hair. His smile was wide as he walked up to us. "Either of you know where the trail is around here? I've been looking for a while." I said yeah and pointed ahead at the trail. But when he didn't immediately say anything or leave, I then asked if the others out there were with him. His face fell flat for a moment. Then he smiled again and looked back at where I was looking. "I didn't know there were others out here. I've just been hiking alone. I would have asked them for directions if I saw them," the man said. It was really strange, though. I was almost sure he was lying. He came from the same direction we just heard the voices in. I just said okay, and he smiled, then left and went down the trail. Henry was thinking the exact same thing as I was, that the guy was lying for some reason. There was no way he just came out from the same area as the group of voices and wasn't with them, or at least didn't even notice them. But the more unsettling question is, why was he lying? Why didn't he want to tell us about the others in the forest? We discussed this around the campfire for a while, maybe 30 minutes, trying to figure out what the hell was going on, or
Yeah, I would wonder the same thing. Like, is this guy lying and is this a trap? Or what is the motive of this person? And the question I have for you is at this point, would you get out of there? Or would you stick it out and spend the night? Because for me, I guess I would consider getting out of there, although I don't know. It's not like there's any immediate danger, but the whole thing would be creepy enough for me to not want to be there.
if there even was something going on. The whole time, it felt like we were being watched. I kept turning around and looking at the forest and at the trail. Something felt wrong. It definitely didn't help that this was our first time being so far out like this, so nerves were already high. "Should we just leave?" Henry finally said in a shaken voice. After some thought, I said yes. We started packing, but that eerie feeling only felt like it was getting stronger. Just as we tossed our bags on our shoulders and stomped out the campfire, a single footstep crunched in the leaves behind me. We both swung our heads around. Without the fire, it was pitch black. It also felt like the woods were eerily quiet now. After a moment, my shaky hand reached into the side of my backpack and got out my flashlight. I pointed it out and clicked it on. Standing only 10 or 15 feet in front of me was that same guy from before with the red baseball hat. He was standing in place, already looking at us, and had a blank stare. As I held the light on him, he made that same wide smile from before. In a panic, I turned off the light and both of us sprinted to the trail. Disturbingly, I could hear multiple other footsteps chasing behind us.
At that point, I would be like, oh, hell no. Having that guy come back and just standing there with that creepy grin, Like, yeah, no.
And some even sounding like they were running through the woods beside us. Slowly, though, they started to fade out. Eventually, it was just us two, running down the dark trail. We made it back to the car unharmed. We got in and drove away. We were both pretty shaken for a while after that. Honestly, I have no idea what was going on there. Why was anyone there at all? It's been a long time since this happened, but we haven't been out camping at all. I don't know if we ever will.
Yeah, I feel like with that kind of experience, I wouldn't want to go camping again either. And I've been camping before. The last time I went camping, I was sick and it was miserable, and I haven't been camping since. It's just not really my thing. But when people want to go exploring out these off the beaten path type areas, there are risks to it. And stories like this just make you aware and remind you of those risks. So if you are going to go and do something like that, just be careful and have your awareness about you. But I thought this was a creepy story for sure. And I hope you enjoyed my commentary and the music. And be sure to check out my money saving opportunity in the pinned comment below. And I will see you in the next video.